Mataji, I'm starting the recording, Mataji. Is that okay, Mataji? Lalitanga Mataji?
Yeah, maybe we should start, right?
Yeah. I sent the link just now in the call, in the group. I think people will join, Mataji. I'll start the recording.
Okay, maybe even Bhakti Sangha main group you can send if anybody is interested from there.
Okay, Mataji, sure, I will put it there also.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
After a long time.
Yeah, I think we can start, right?
Yeah, okay, I'll start it.
I hope my audio is clear. And
Yes, Mataji.
is the video okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa Group's presentation of 18 chapters in 18 sessions. So we are now in the 13th chapter, in the last 6 chapters, and the first of the last 6 chapters starts with the 13th chapter. So which is nature, the enjoyer and consciousness. So this is just a overview of what is said in this chapter. So yeah, let's start with prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, yeah, we know that this is for anything, even material arts, we need a guru, like dance or singing or any arts for that matter. And definitely for spiritual subject matter, we need a spiritual master, a master who is expert in the and who himself is practicing, so he can guide us properly, because this is a very this path is very nice, and we are taking it, and so that to protect us from deviation and to keep us on the path and go to the goal, we definitely need the blessings and mercy and to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. So that's why all the sessions we start with prayers to the spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Our respectful obeisances unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. So in this, we are offering respects to Srila Prabhupada, who is the commentator of Bhagavad Gita as it is, and I think more than 120 titles. And all this he wrote at the ripe old age of 70 and above, while he was traveling around to different ISKCON centers that he single-handedly started in 1965. And that too after coming to US on cargo ship with a sponsored ticket. So it's not even a passenger ship, the cargo ship. So it would go all around the world to take the cargo and then come here. So that's how he made it to the United States in New York. So he has taken great risks to uh, bring this knowledge and make it easily available in English and also in all over the world. So that way he was able to do it because he has taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, and because his motive is none other than the glorification of the Lord. He's very dear to the Lord. So normally, generally, if there is a spiritual movement and his founder, the spiritual movement is generally named after his founder, or very easily people can associate. But ISKCON, if you know, people wouldn't have heard of Srila Prabhupada first, but they know that this is a moment where they worship Krishna. So that shows that his only goal was preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva, and he undertook this great and arduous task because of his guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami's instructions and desire he wanted to fulfill. So that's why we say Namaste Saraswate Deve. So he's the spiritual son and disciple of Saraswati Goswami. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Pandit, Srivas Thakur, and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Lord Krishna himself in the form of a devotee of the Lord. So he came to show people how we can do bhakti yoga. And if at all we know anything about Krishna now, it is because of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who requested his disciples, the 6 Goswamis, to go and excavate the holy places in Vrindavan, write literatures, and build temples. Because of that, we are able to access the history of Lord Krishna. So we are very grateful to Pancha Tattva. So Pancha Tattva are 5 Tattvas. Sri Krishna Chaitanya is Krishna himself. Prabhu Nityananda is Balaram. Sri Advaita is Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva combined. Gadadhara is Radharani, that is Shakti Tattva. Srivas is Narada Muni. So since there are 5 tattvas, or the God incarnation, his expansion, his energy, and his devotee is there. So this mantra is very powerful, and this is what we chant before chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because we are prone to commit offenses when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and these offenses are mercifully nullified by the Panchatattva. So we always take shelter of them. And so very quickly we can go to the stage of offenseless chanting. So let's chant 3 times this Maha Mantra, or the great chanting for deliverance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service. So this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the greatest boon in Kali Yuga. It is not different from the Lord. It's a sound vibration or sound incarnation of the Lord. And we cannot be purified to access the personality of the Lord. Even to do deity worship, we need qualification to chant the Gayatri Mantra and to be clean. But Krishna in the form of a sound incarnation is very merciful, that anyone and everyone can chant and be benefited. So this is 13th chapter, Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness. So this chapter is considered to be the summary of Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutras, Upanishads, the philosophical aspect of Vedas. This chapter is considered to be a summary of that. And also, if you remember, I forgot to put the slide, the recap slide from the 12th chapter. So we saw the 12th chapter is devotional service, and so in devotional service, when we saw in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the last 12 to 20 verses, 13 to 20 verses, Krishna is saying that who is dear to him. He's saying who is dear to him, and there are so many qualities there to become dear to the Lord. That one has to be Adveshta, Sarva Bhutana, Maitra, Karuna Yevacha, Nirmamo, Nirahankaraha, without freedom from false ego, one who's free from proprietorship, one who has not envious but a kind friend to all living entities, and he's friendly, he's very compassionate. Samadukka Sukha Kshami, one who's forgiving, but he is also equipoised in happiness and distress. Maitra Karuna Evacha, Nirmamo Nirahankaraha, Samadukka Sukha Kshami, Santushtaha Satatam Yogi, one who's always satisfied. Yatatma Drida Nishchayaha, one who's endeavoring with great determination. Santushta Satatam Yogi, Yatatma Drida Nishchayaha, Mayarpita Manu Buddhir, Yomat Bhakta Samepriha, one who has fixed his mind and intelligence on me, thus is very dear to me. But how to do this? And he's saying that those who follow this imperishable path is very, very dear to him. So we know that Bhagavad Gita is talking about the mind of the Supreme Lord. And so, he has indicated that these are the qualities of devotees, and the devotees who possess these qualities are pure devotees, and they are very, very dear to him. So, but how to do that? How to develop these qualities, and who are we? What are the obstacles on the path? So when Arjuna was left wondering like that, then Krishna explains it further. It's like, unpacking more of the mysteries. That, you have an instruction to do this, do this, do this. But then, in the manual, it says, like, you have the Lego toy manual. The first page says that this is the end product is. But then, the kids are wondering how to do this. But then it starts with a simple instruction. Put these Lego pieces together, then this, then this, then this, like this. And finally, you get a complex looking car that runs on the wheels, and it's made. So it's like this. Since Bhagavad Gita is a manual, he is demystifying, decoding, and giving part by part. What is nature? What is Prakriti? What is this? And what are the interactions? And what are we supposed to know? So all these things are given in detail. Like you open a computer or a phone, there are different parts of it. It's like this. And Arjuna is our representative. We are very grateful to him because he posed these questions to the Lord. The Lord is able to tell more and more. So Arjuna starts off in verse 1. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnam cha etadveditum ichchami jnanam jneyam cha keshava. So he's asking 6 questions. What are the 6 questions? What is, I wished, oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, which is material nature. Purusha, the enjoyer. Kshetram. Kshetram means the field. Kshetrajnam, the knower of the field. Jnanam, knowledge. Jneyam, the object of knowledge, or what to know about, or the ultimate result of knowing the knowledge. So these are the 6 questions. So the Kshetram or the field, we will see what it is. It's basically the body, and Kshetrajna is the knower of the field. So immediately Krishna is explaining, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Idam Shariram Kaunteya, Kshetram Ityabhidiyate. This body, O son of Kuti, is called the field. Etadyo veti tam prahu, Kshetrajna iti tad vidaha. And one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. So we can see that Krishna is saying that Kshetra or the field is the body, and the person who knows about the Kshetra or knower of this body is the soul. So again, this is a place where after the second chapter, Krishna touches upon this concept of body and soul, because body is jada or achit or unconscious. Body is not the knower of the body, but there is a knower of the body, that is the soul. So how to know the soul? Srila Prabhupada gives an example that we use many articles, the clothes, the glasses, the accessories, and the watch, the cell phone, and the car, and we use so many accessories. But we know that we are different from the things we are using. So Prabhupada is telling, like this, if we do a little bit of contemplation, then we know that we are different from the body also. So when he went to a school, I think in a high school, I'm not sure exactly where, but in the US, when Srila Prabhupada went to give a class, so they asked him to come to high school or middle school. I'm not sure about it. So when he went, he asked, who is the most intelligent person in the class? So the class topper, who's the smartest kid, he came. So Prabhupada asked him to stand near, and he asked him to lift his hand. He asked, what is this? So everyone was like, kind of laughing. What a question to ask the smartest kid. To answer this, you don't need the smartest kid. Then he answered, this is my hand, this is hand. And then Srila Prabhupada asked, whose hand? This is my hand. Then, he was wearing a shirt. So what is this? This is a shirt. Whose shirt is this? This is my shirt. And he was wearing a cap. So what is this? This is a cap. Whose cap is this? This is my cap. By this time, it became like a fun class, and the whole class is giggling and laughing. And what is this monk doing here, making fun of this, asking us questions as though the body parts. We learned about it in the kindergarten. Then after asking quite a few parts like this, he asked, what is all this? What is this? So he said, this is my body. All put together, the hand, the face, the legs, the stomach, and everything put together is your body. Then who are you? So the kid was stuck. Who am I? We don't say I head. We don't say I hand. It is my head and my hand. So I am different from this. The combination of all this is my body. But who are you? And where are you? He was not able to answer. So that's why, the defect of the modern educational system for the past 200 years is blind running into matter, because they cannot explain what is consciousness scientifically. So they prefer to keep it aside and run into matter like this. And now you see everywhere what is talked about, most, even the mails that from the school for the kids, it comes mental health. Because, humanity is undergoing, at least in our lifetimes, this is the worst crisis that we have ever seen. Coronavirus and everything shutting down, and so many people passing away, and people who are alive also, they are like dead inside. They cannot walk out, scare, uncertainty. So then they want to talk about mental health. But all these days, I was not talking about that. Bhagavad Gita starts with this, because if this knowledge is not there, then it's not knowledge at all. So Krishna is clearly saying the body is the Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the soul. And in the text 3, he says that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its two knowers is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So that's why the education now is only concentrated on body, not the soul and not the super knower also. So what is Krishna doing in the body? What is his role? So his role is he's present in the heart of everyone as Paramatma or the super soul. And what is he? He is like the king. If the king has a kingdom, he knows very well what are the boundaries and which state, where is there, who is the governor, how many fields are there, what's going on. The king knows. The citizen who is owning a patch of land, he knows very well about his land. Okay, but he may not know about his neighbor's land or land which is 20 kilometers away. He may not know that. But the king, as a proprietor of the kingdom, he knows all the lands. So Krishna is saying that I am the original proprietor of this body. How? We will see that. He will explain that more. And you are the secondary proprietor. Just like, see, the king is the knower also of this individual's land and also knower of every other land in the kingdom. And not only he is an all-knower, he is also the proprietor. That's why we see that, especially when bridges are built in the crowded cities, there is government acquisition. And even though we have our land there, but if it is coming in the middle of some constructing highways or bridges, then they will give some compensation and give a land somewhere. So basically, the government is the first owner and the laws are very strict. Otherwise, being in US, one can very easily claim ownership of land in India. If there are so many people who want to sell the land, they want somehow money, and in other countries they have more money, so they can easily sell the land and that way claim. No, the land first belongs to the government and then belongs to the citizen. So similarly, Krishna is present in all the individual bodies. The individual soul is present only in his body. But Krishna as a super soul, he's present in all the bodies, and that way he is the original proprietor of all, the primary proprietor of all the bodies. And he also knows, he's conscious of all the bodies. I am conscious of only my body. If my son has a headache or a fear, I don't know about it. I can't feel it. But the Lord, because he's sitting in everyone's heart as a super soul, he's conscious of everything and everyone that's going. And another difference between the two Kshetrajnas, one is the soul, another is the super soul. One is fallible, means prone to commit mistakes. But then the super soul is infallible. Super soul, Akshara, that we'll see in the 15th chapter, he is Akshara, he is infallible. And he is superior and we are subordinate. So he's making three things clear: Kshetra and two types of Kshetrajna. Now he's going to tell more about, in 4 and 5, the description of Kshetra. That means now this field of activity, that is a composition of the body. We will see that, and how it's constituted, what are the qualities of the body, what its changes are, whence it's produced, that is the origin of the body, who that knower of the field of activities is. This is Kshetrajna, the soul, and what are the influences of the soul. So very technical, but very important, because without knowing this, we cannot advance in spiritual knowledge. So because he's playing a part of a guru, he doesn't need to, as a Supreme Lord, he doesn't need to get any references. But because he's also playing the part of a guru to Arjuna, he's saying that this knowledge that I'm going to explain to you is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra also, with all reasoning. So Vedanta Sutra is written by Vyasadeva. Vyasadev's father is Parashara Muni, and they all agree that there is the body and there are two knowers. One shouldn't confuse between the two knowers, make confusing them to be one, the soul and the super soul. It is different. And even Kata Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, and Brahma Sutra also speaks on this topic. So after giving this, then he's going to the first thing, what is the composition of the body? So 13.6 and 7, the 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. So what are the 24 elements? The first one is Mahabhuta, or the 5 great elements. This we know, Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kam, which is earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So these are 5 gross elements or great elements. And the transformations of these 5 are, what happens to these elements is that the body which is made up of these elements takes birth, grows, stays for some time, produces offspring, dwindles, and finally dies. And what is this body in effect made up of? It is made up of the senses. And senses are of 2 types. One is knowledge acquiring senses, and another is working senses. The knowledge acquiring senses are the senses are like the outlets that they capture. They are like the cameras, the CCTVs of outside world. Eyes always wanting to see something, nose, ears, skin, and tongue. So if these things are not there, then there's no question of acquiring knowledge. But then eyes can acquire knowledge, like we saw that how to make in the previous class, in the kids class, Padmasaki Mataji taught how to make moon biscuits. So the eyes are seeing, but the eyes can't make it. We need hands to make it. So hands and legs. So what knowledge is acquired by the working senses knowledge acquiring senses, in order to put them in practice, we need working senses. There are 5: voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. So these are the 5 working senses. And what are the sense objects? Or the objects that is corresponding to these senses. That is, eyes wants to see good form. Nose want to avoid bad smell. Ears want to hear good music, sound. Skin wants to touch something soft. Tongue wants to taste something nice. So these are the 5 objects of the senses. So being pulled by the objects of the senses, the knowledge is acquired by 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So suppose you're seeing a video and then there is an ad of an ice cream. So eyes capture that ad, the impression and insight. Then, the mind is meditating on it, and the next time it goes into your grocery list. And then when you go to the shop with your hands and legs driving, then you purchase that. So we see that how we are working is very nicely described. It's like a coordination between the knowledge acquiring senses, working senses, and objects of senses. But then these 5 great elements, and all this is called gross body or gross elements. Beyond this, there is subtle elements, that is mind, intelligence, false ego, and the unmanifested state of the three modes of material nature. That's called pradhan. That is the total material energy. From there, the three modes of material nature is manifested, and from there, these five great elements are manifested, and then these senses and sense objects are manifested. So Bhagavatam speaks in detail about this. And so this is a subtle aspect of it. So we know that we are not working with the body alone. Actually, to function properly, what we are working with basically is mind and intelligence, not with the body. Body is just carrying out what the mind and intelligence. So basically, we are working with the mind and intelligence. And unfortunately, we have no idea how the mind and intelligence are working. So we saw in the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga, Arjuna is asking questions and Krishna answering in detail about the mind. The whole thing is about mind. What is a thing of how the mind is, where it is there, how it is very obstinate, and how it can be controlled or subdued by suitable practice and detachment. And for the mind to be under subdue, you need proper intelligence. So that intelligence is like the next door neighbor of the false ego. So basically they say that, we should not have ego. But Srila Prabhupada says it is not like that. Ego is identity. You cannot kill the identity. Everyone has an identity, and that's an eternal identity. So that ego, I am, is there. Our philosophy is not that I am is vanished and then you merge into the Lord. No, I am can never be vanquished. But that I am, what we think, is on the false platform now. So that is false ego. If I'm thinking what I am really, truly, then that is true ego. So basically, the whole material creation, bhakti yoga, everything is a process of transforming that false ego into true ego. So what is the consciousness? The living symptoms are represented by consciousness. So consciousness we see is a symptom of the soul. And conviction means like it can be called as a faith, trust, and you have a conviction that this will work. So all this is because of that conviction. You can see if the conviction is that's a symptom of the working of the mind, intelligence, and false ego, which is the subtle body. And so the interactions of this field of activity, that is the 24 elements, the interactions is happiness and distress, desire and hatred. So all these things with respect to, that is manifested as this. So that's what he says. All these considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. This is an amazing explanation of, in total, a complete, there is no place in it for that is not explained. And after explaining this, of course, Prabhupada in the purport says that a synopsis is given, but who are interested in this can go to Upanishad and learn more on that. So much more on this. So far he has explained the field of activity, which is the Kshetra. I have never thought about body like this before reading Bhagavad Gita and from understanding it from ISKCON. I have never thought this, but this I found it very, very interesting, practical, and a systematic explanation of our wholesome existence. Not only the body, the mind, intelligence, and the spiritual level. So after explaining this, before explaining what is knowledge and the knowable, Krishna is explaining these 20 elements of knowledge, which is from text 8 to 12. These are the qualities that one requires to have to get the knowledge, or rather he's saying that this is the symptom of knowledge, and anything else is ignorance. All these 20 items means the person is knowledgeable. So what is this? It starts with amanitvam, humility. So Prabhupada, we don't have time, but I'll quickly go through this. Humility is the beginning of knowledge, and it means that not to be anxious, to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. So if we are not behind this, then whether there is honor or dishonor, it wouldn't matter. Equipoised tata mana apamana yoho comes from this humility. But if we see that, this quality is obsolete now in this world for material education. Everyone wants to prove who they are. Everyone is doing something to get noticed. But then this is the opposite of that, because that means we are driven by passion, we are driven by honor. And how will knowledge come? Knowledge is something which is in the mode of goodness. But if we are driven by passion and the mode of passion and ignorance, then how can we be a proper recipient of knowledge? So I heard one story with respect to this, that Ravana once met Narada Muni. And we know that Narada Muni is equally powerful or equally liked by the demons and the demigods. He is the Rishi of the Devas, but he can go and talk to Kamsa, he'll talk to Ravana, he'll talk to Mrigari, everywhere he's present. So he came to Ravana, and Ravana said that, "Oh, Narada Muni, I have heard that you are an expert in spiritual knowledge. So I want that knowledge from you." So Narada Muni said that, "But you don't have the qualification to get the knowledge, Ravana. So I cannot give it to you." So Ravana was getting angry. "You're telling me that I cannot get the spiritual knowledge? I am Ravana and I want that knowledge from you." Again, Narada Muni is saying, "You see, this is not the quality to have the knowledge. I can give you the knowledge, but with this pride, you cannot get the knowledge." "No, but I want the knowledge." And he's already putting his hand on the sword and he's coming out of it and he's getting angry. So Narada Muni said, "Yes, see, Ravana, I told you this. By getting angry like this, how will you get knowledge? Knowledge will not come if you demand. It has to be in humility." So immediately said, "So you will not give me the knowledge? You cannot escape from me without giving me the knowledge." And he took the sword and slashed Narada Muni's head. And he thought that the head would be chopped off and fall down. But to his surprise, he saw that the sword went inside Narada's neck and came out. And Narada Muni is still unaffected like that. Because he has a spiritual body. What material things can touch the body? His body is completely spiritual. Oh, so now Ravana's eyes widened. And he said, "Wow, I want this kind of a body. I want this to fight with my dear enemies. So how did you get this?" Then Narada Muni is saying, "Yeah, I can tell you the secret. If you chant the 2 syllables, Ra, Ma, and if you practice chanting this, then you'll get a spiritual body." "What? Me? I don't want to chant the name of a human being who is worshipped by Vanaras. Come on. I don't want to do that. Forget it. I don't want this body." So how can knowledge go to such a person? Narada Muni gave this knowledge to Mrigari, the hunter, who was so sinful. But then when Narada Muni told him that, at least don't leave the animals half killed, at least kill them fully. He said, "Okay, why are you telling me that? I have a special kind of like how we see a baseball match or a cricket match or whatever sport." So for him it was a sport to see the animals half dead. But then he had humility and he was willing to listen and he was repentful, and so he became so purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord. So that's why it is said that the beginning of knowledge is humility, and without humility there's no point in going anything further. Pridelessness is almost like a synonym of humility, but then pride is a very subtle thing. What is so surprising is that everybody will think that I am prideless, but the other person is proud. Ravana never thought that he's proud, or Hiranyakashipu also. That Hiranyakashipu scolded Prahalad, how proud you are. You are small balaka and you are talking as though you have won over me, won over, great things. So he was calling Prahalad proud. So it is like a ghost that is possessing us. A person who is possessed by a ghost, he will not know that he is possessed by a ghost. Pride is like that. There's a very interesting story that a beggar was coming to a house to beg some food, and the daughter-in-law of the house, she came and she was very harsh. She said that, get lost from here, I'm not giving you anything. She closed the door. So the beggar was thinking, oh, why she has to be so harsh to me? And he's walking away. This is in a typical Indian village, and then the old lady is coming towards the house. So he's seeing. So he figured out that this old lady must be, somebody, either mother or mother-in-law. So he told, you see, I went to your house. This is supposed to be your house, and you're all looking like good people who do charity. But the young woman in that house told me that I should get lost. So immediately this lady said, oh, who is she to tell you to get lost? Come with me. And she took him there, and he was waiting outside thinking, oh, nice, I have, I can catch some fish in troubled waters now. So she went inside, and then she came back and she said, now you get lost. So beggar was thinking, what is this? To ask me to get lost, you asked me to come again? I thought you're going to give me something. So he said, this is my house. Who is my daughter-in-law to ask you to get lost? I am the owner of this house, so only I can say that you are get lost. So this is pride and false ego. It is so subtle. You can see that this is the platform on which all the misunderstandings within the family, extended family, outside, within countries, within political parties, everything happens because of this. Then non-violence. Non-violence, of course, is not being violent towards others, or keeping quiet when seeing somebody else suffer. So we know that everybody is suffering because of the lack of spiritual knowledge. This spiritual knowledge of Bhagavad Gita can solve everyone's problems, whatever it may be. This Bhagavad Gita can solve not only individual, but social and international and all the problems. So if someone is suffering because of some problem, that's because of the lack of spiritual knowledge. So if we don't distribute this knowledge to others, then we are committing violence on them. Tolerance is when we are practicing this bhakti yoga or any yoga practice, spirituality, people will make fun. They will say that, why are you doing this? And there will be so much, so much sarcasm, so much putting down. But if we are going to be moved by all that, we will not move an inch. So we need to tolerate, because that is the nature of this world. One day honor, one day dishonor. Then again honor, then again dishonor. This will keep coming. So a wise person who sees this, for him it doesn't matter anymore whether honor or dishonor. So because he's tolerant, knowing the nature of the material world. And simplicity is being so straightforward, not having agenda, not thinking that how these two people are close, how I can break their closeness and make everyone close to me, because I am the center. So that diplomacy. So without that diplomacy is simplicity. And accepting a bona fide spiritual master. This is the most important. There are two important things in this whole 20 items, and one of them is this. Because if he bestows blessings, and if with all humility we offer service to the spiritual master, by his blessings, it will be easier for us to follow the regulative principles. So that it is like, you go to what is this, the Disney park, and then you have you buy tickets for each ride, and then comes like there's someone who's working there. So he gives you a ticket, like one ticket in which you can go to all the rides how many ever times you want. We met a devotee who's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he gave us that one ticket. Yeah, I remember this. So it is like this. A person who is an authority in the spiritual master, he can give us this gift of making us easily follow the regulative principles. And without such living examples like that, spiritual life can be for name's sake. But real advancement comes when we follow the example of a living spiritual master. Then, of course, comes cleanliness. Bathing is for external cleanliness. We have to tell that very much nowadays. Chanting is for internal cleanliness. Because, see, the body gets dirty. If you don't bathe, we start smelling. And the house gets dirty. We have to keep mopping and cleaning the house, putting the dust. But how come the mind alone will not get dirty? How many nonsense things we are seeing, we are undergoing, and all the senses are constantly on the radar, capturing many, many, many things, and everything is dumped into the mind. And if body and the house has to be clean, if the mind is not clean, then how much we will hold the junk for how long? So chanting the Maha Mantra is cleaning the mind. We are giving our mind and senses early in the morning, first thing, to surrender to the holy names of the Lord. How much we are able to surrender our mind and intelligence and our own existence to the sound form of the Lord, that much cleanliness is effective. And this has to be done daily, just like daily bath has to be done, daily mopping and cleaning has to be done like that. So steadiness is, we have to be determined to make progress in spiritual life. Without determination, it cannot happen. Self-control, we need to accept what is favorable and reject something unfavorable. There may be one person who's talking good and as well as maybe unfavorable. So you reject what is unfavorable and accept the favorable things. And renunciation of sense objects, because not unnecessarily, one devotee said that, Prabhupada, I'm going to go to the nightclub and distribute books there. Prabhupada said, please be safe and come back as a devotee. So we don't unnecessarily expose ourselves to places which will agitate the mind. And yeah, absence of the false ego, we saw that we are not this body, we are neither this mind, we are a servant of the Lord. Then the perceptions of evil of birth, death, old age and disease, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, these things have to be seen. Before Corona, nobody cared about this. What? Disease? There was a plague 100 years before, 200 years before, because they were not advanced in medicine like this. So at least the whole world will accept now. Disease and death are very near. They are more near than what we think they are. So these things have to be regularly heard, because this is reality. We cannot be like a cat closing our eyes, thinking that these things will not happen to me. And detachment is being ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. And with the family, we all, the affection of family is natural, but then over involvement. I mean, I've seen this myself, that when you're alone, then it's you and your false ego. But when you have kids, the false ego gets transferred to the kids. My kid should be the best devotee. My kid should be the best performer in the thing. And whoever says anything to my kid, they're as well as my enemy. So this is just expansion of false egos. Rather than that, we have to, if we learn to see everyone as a gift from the Lord, as a servant from the Lord, service of the Lord, then there is no entanglement even when we are living in the family. then even-mindedness that we discussed already, and this is the most important one, unalloyed devotional service. So if this is not there, the rest 19 items is not of any much value. But if this is there, then rest 19 items will automatically develop. That is what unalloyed devotional service. So when we are fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, these qualities automatically come. Not that, we are fixed in the service of the Lord and we continue to be proud and arrogant. By reading this, we analyze ourselves and we ask the Lord, oh Lord, I know that I'm so proud. I'm full of false ego. Kindly give me a mercy so that I can develop these qualities to serve you, to serve your devotees. So that way these gifts come, and that is the easiest way to get it. On our own, it's impossible to even, cultivate this qualities. Yeah, a spiritual person is naturally is detached from general masses, and we know the importance of, he accepts the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. These are like staircases. So some people might have been the first staircase, some are in the second, some are in the third. But then the ultimate end of the staircase is understanding Krishna. So as long as one is understanding Krishna as that, then he is in the lower stage of knowledge. In other words, without these qualities, it's impossible to understand Krishna also. So after explaining the 20 elements of knowledge, he's explaining what is the object of knowledge. So we saw that two Kshetrajñas, one is the Lord, another is a living entity. Lord is the conscious of everything. Living entity is conscious of one's own body. He is present in the hearts of everyone. Living entity resides only in one's own body. He is a controller of all bodies. Living entity is not even a controller of his body. We think we are controller as long as our toe gets swollen. We don't know how it is getting swollen. It will never go out. So that knows that we are not controlled, but rather conditioned. Lord is not affected by karma, but we are determining to act in certain way and we are entangled in karma. The Lord travels with living entity to his next destination, but we keep transmigrating without looking at the Lord. Why this difference? Because this difference is to make sure that we are subordinate and he is superior. So in 14th shloka, he explains about sarvataha panipadam tat sarvataha Shrutimal Loke, that is hands and legs and eyes, heads and faces are everywhere. I have my hands, legs and faces, but it is localized only in my own body. But if you offer me something from India, I can't take it. But if you offer to Krishna, he's saying that wherever you offer me, even a small leaf, flower, fruit or little water, I will accept it. How? He can extend his hands from anywhere to everywhere to accept the offering. So this shows the omnipotence of the Lord. And another thing that is that we can take from the shloka is that he definitely has hands, legs, eyes, heads, and faces. That means he's not impersonal. He is a person. His form is Satchidananda Vigraha. And more qualities of the super soul. He is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses, means without material senses. He is unattached, although he is a maintainer of all beings. If I am attached to my phone, if for half an hour you don't see the phone, you think, oh, who would have messaged, what happened? So that is attachment. He is the maintainer of all living entities, but he is not attached. And I am under the modes of nature, but he is not only the transcending the modes of nature, but he is a master of the modes of nature. So this is again, the Lord is not impersonal, and the living entity and the Lord. This difference has to be very much grasped by us, by repeatedly again and again. Why? Because as living entities who have rebelled against the Lord, we have basic tendency to think that I am the Lord of all that I survey. Although I don't seem like that, but that is so strong rooted. Okay, so that's why this chapter is so important, to know the difference between the super soul and soul. So the supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, moving and a non-moving. He's subtle. He's beyond the power of the material senses to see or know. Although far, far away, he is near to all. How come? For some people, he's so far away, or he doesn't exist, or he's dead. But for some people, he's so near. How? For people, for devotees who are practicing devotional service, whose eyes are tinged with the love of the Lord, who is dedicating their activities to the Lord, for them Krishna is just above the shoulder. They know that he's watching him. They know that's how Srila Prabhupada, was there. So constantly Krishna conscious. So Krishna from the heart can perceive that also, and so he's so near. So another quality is that he is there in the hearts of everyone, right? So people may say that, no, the one Supreme Lord has become divided and he is there in the heart of everyone. No, although he appears to be divided, he is never divided. How is it? Just like if you say, take the East Coast from New York to Florida, the East Coast is the same time. Okay, but if somebody in New York looks up at noon, the sun is just above their head. And someone in Florida, again at noon, when they look up, it's the same time zone. The sun is above their head. So where is the sun? Everyone will say that that is shining on his head. Although it is not different sun. And although they are many, many, many miles apart. So this example is given in the Vedic literature to show that although he is undivided, he is situated as if divided. He's not divided, but he is undivided, but he's situated as though he's divided in he's so personal to everyone, Paramatma. And he's the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. So he is knowledge, he's the object of knowledge, and he's the goal of knowledge. He's situated in everyone's heart. So what is it? Krishna says that in my abode, there's no need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity. Natat basayate suryo, nashashanko, na pavakaha. Then we will wonder why. Because there, the spiritual effulgence, Brahma Jyoti is there. And here in the material universe, the Brahma Jyoti is covered by many, many layers of material elements. It is described as a coconut shell. This universe is described as a coconut shell. Can the light penetrate inside the coconut? Although outside it is daylight, but the shell is made in such a way that light cannot penetrate inside. That thick is the shell. So similarly, the material universe is covered by so many material elements, so it is made dark, and that's why there is requirement of sunlight and electricity here. But he himself is a source of that knowledge. Okay, so after explaining super soul, he's coming to the role of Prakriti and Jiva. So nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is a cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So Prabhupada gives this example that if the nature puts a soul into the dog's body, then he must act like a dog. And if the soul is put in the body of a hog, he cannot bark like a dog. So the effect, the cause and the effect is given by the Prakriti. But then we are the person who have chosen to be placed in that particular type of body. So we are the cause for the suffering and enjoyment, but the nature gives the cause and effect of it, because we cannot make the dog's body or a hog's body or a demigod's body. So that's why it is said that once placed in some particular kind of body, he comes under the control of nature, because that body, being matter, acts according to the law of nature. At that time, the living entity has no power to change that law. But how he gets that body? According to one's desires and activities, material nature places one in various residential quarters. So he himself is a cause of attaining that. We all know the famous story of Indra being cursed by Brihaspati to become a hog. So he came down as a hog, and he was living we know that pig and piglets, and how many piglets at a time is born, and he had a huge family, his wife and everything, and children, and he was happy there. So that is the potency of Maya, Avarnatmika and Prekshepatmika. It throws us and it covers us. So whichever body we are in, we think that we are enjoying there. So that is the nature's illusion. That's why Prabhupada says that is illusion. That is not happiness. That is illusion. You think that you are happy. So Brahma came down to tell Indra that your term of punishment is over and you need to be back. But Indra protested, telling that I'm happy here. Why should I come there? From our perspective, we know what is the life of a demigod as a Indra, how powerful it is, how in the mode of goodness it is, and what is the position of a life of a pig. But then Indra, being in the pig's body, was satisfied and happy that he did not want to return to that position. So that is the position of material nature's influence on the jiva. So because of this influence of the three modes of material nature, he meets with good and evil among various species. We continue this. You can imagine the spell that Prakriti puts on the conditioned soul. It's impossible for us to get out of it. But if we don't get out of it, we keep rotating here from dog to hog to Indra to Brahma to again dog to hog, go on and on and on and on endlessly. So, but then there is a way out of it. What is it? If we are not, unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time immemorial. But he has to change that conception, and that change can come only by hearing from authoritative sources. Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna, so his whole conception of fighting and the life and killing the people, warfare and its consequences, everything changed. Nothing mattered to him except that I am the servant of the Lord. I'm going to execute what my work as a service of the Lord. So that's why it's so important to hear, and not for one day. This hearing has to continue and only increase. It cannot decrease. So as this hearing is there, we are feeding our intelligence. Then the intelligence tells the mind, okay, don't have material desires. You'll get caught. So, because you are the spirit soul, you can be completely in happiness and bliss and eternally in knowledge. So go for that. And what is the another thing of this? A very famous sloka: Upadrashta anumanta cha bharta bhukta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushaha paraha. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor. We saw this, who exists as the overseer and permitter. Without him permitting, without him overseeing, we cannot do anything. So he's a witness, he's the overseer, he's permitter, and he's a supreme enjoyer. Why is supreme enjoyer? He is not subjected to material enjoyment and distress like the living entity. He's always in supreme bliss. So Krishna says it's like this. So we know that the soul changes from one body to another, like how he changes the clothes. But why he changes like that from one body to another? Because of his material desires, the push of material desires. And why that happens? Because of the lack of spiritual knowledge and because of the lack of spiritual practice. And to realize that knowledge, this cycle is continuing. But if a person knows this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature, he is sure to attain liberation. So Krishna is promising this. He will not take birth again regardless of his present position. So furthermore about the super soul, he is accompanying the individual soul in all the bodies. He is not destroyed like the super soul, like the soul, and he's equally present everywhere in every living being. One who sees this does not degrade himself by his mind. This is, I mean, I like this sloka very much because we are not practicing to see everyone on the spiritual platform and in everyone's heart Paramatma is there. This knowledge is still theoretical. It's not a practical for us. We don't see with that vision. It is this knowledge that everyone is a soul and accompanied by Paramatma in the heart. It should be like a glass, that I wear this glass and then I see everyone. Then I don't degrade myself by my mind, because my mind is a cause for my degradation. My mind is telling that you are the most good and everyone else around you is bad. This person is this bad, this person is that bad. No, but if I see everyone as super soul and the soul, then I will not let myself degrade by the mind. And that's how devotees see, and that's how they are able to, in spite of all the differences, they see the super soul and the soul, and they're able to connect spiritually together. And that's why Srila Prabhupada said, this is the real United Nations. When we see bodily differences, then there is definitely fights and politics starting from there. So one who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees this. We saw this. So this is the last shloka. Okay, this is one more. So two examples are given here. The soul situated in Brahman vision, means the soul, if he is always situated in the knowledge that's explained in this chapter, he is like he's like the sky. He doesn't, although the sky is there, doesn't mix with anything. So like that way, the soul in the Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body, like a cobra that's away from the shell. We know that when we break the coconut, and to take the coconut out of it, how hard it is. It gets so stuck. But the cobra or the ripe coconut is already, it's coming out like this. When you open only, it is coming out separately. So that should be our aim, to live a spiritual life so much like this, separate, even though when we are in this body. So like the sun is illuminating the whole universe, the entire body is illuminated by consciousness. So what is the result of hearing this? One who sees with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation. Not only this, he understands the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, attain to that supreme goal. So to understand the soul and the super soul, one should recognize the process of liberation as described in verses 8 through 12. Amanitvam, adambitvam. So this is the summary. Arjuna asked 6 questions. What is Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Purusha, Prakriti, Jnanam, and Neyam? What is the field of activity, knower of the field of activity, the nature, the enjoyer, knowledge, and the object of knowledge. So Krishna describes Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and Jnanam, the field of activity, the knower of the field of activity and knowledge. And the process of acquiring knowledge are 20 elements of knowledge from 8 to 12. Neyam, the object of knowledge, is both to know the soul and the super soul. Both are not one, both are different. Then 20 to 26 is Prakriti and Purusha and their union, how it makes this material world and how Jiva is there. And what is the way to get out of this? Then 27 to 35 is Jnana Chakshus, or the vision of knowledge. So this chapter looks to be, I mean, it may look to be little dry, but I found it very interesting to know. It quenches the philosophical appetite and makes the platform on which we can further build our spiritual knowledge. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you so much. Sorry if I'm over time. If anyone has any questions.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to always hear the chapter from you. I remember some of your past classes. It was very, very beautiful presentation, Mataji. Thank you so much. and I'm happy I logged in today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. It's because of giving me an opportunity to do this.
On
Thank you
Mataji,
so much.
absolutely nothing.
Thank you,
If
Mataji.
anyone has any questions and comments, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Such a beautiful class, Mataji. You are pastimes queen, Mataji. You just come up with so many pastimes, and I've never heard those. And it's always your class is so brilliant and full of pastimes which we all can relate to and try to emulate. So I'm really grateful to you for that, Mataji. Really amazing class, and when I saw the slides itself, I was like, oh my god, I need to attend this. And thank you so much, Mataji, for all your hard work and prep. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It's humbling to hear this from you. You yourself are very, stalwart and exalted in this knowledge and devotion as well. Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah, somehow I also heard these pastimes very recently in 2 days' time, and that's how Krishna works, I think. So somehow, I mean, this has always been my experience that whenever some task is given to us to do, and the knowledge that is required for the task also comes in some way or the other. Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare
Lakshmi.
Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for the beautiful class.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Beautiful class, Mataji. I really loved, as Sukhsagri Mataji said, the pastimes were really nice and they were so relevant and practical. And what you talked about in terms of pride is so true. And the mood of humility, and the one thing that comes to my mind is I remember an incident in a railway station in Chennai where two dogs, they were actually fighting for a empty Bisleri bottle. It is just empty Bisleri bottle, nothing is there, no water, not even a drop of water, but the two dogs were fighting for it. One was pulling it in this direction, another dog was pulling it in another direction. And this continued for a period of 45 minutes. And then I understood, oh my God, the dogs also have the subtle quality. I want to win over him. This dog thinks I want to win over him, and I'm not ready to give up my ego. Imagine if the dogs have this, then why not the humans, right? I mean, it is so subtle, and definitely that mood of humility paves the way for devotion. And you rightly pointed that out with various examples. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji, because you saw the dog fighting in the divine eyes or Shastra Chakshas through the eyes of Bhagavad Gita. We are able to get that nectar from you. Thank you, Mataji.
This was way before Mataji. Now, when I look back, I now realize that the dogs have this, but at that time I never realized about this. So obviously, thanks to Krishna and Guru Gauranga for giving me that mercy to be at least able to see this, and of course practicing it real time takes time, but definitely I believe that through Vaishnavas and Guru's mercy we'll be able to cross over the material existence. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for your wonderful insights. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, I'm ready for your balls to bat them, Mataji, by Krishna's mercy.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for such a wonderful class. Yeah, as you said, Mataji, this is a very important topic. You know, the title itself tells us that how much we don't know about it actually. We say nature, but we don't know anything about nature. So, Mataji, so I don't want to take much time. The first question was, when you talk about the field of activity, that is actually our body. We are seeing our body in a more detailed, like more in a technical way. So everything we can, at least we can understand, starting from Mahabhuta or fire, knowledge occurring senses, working senses, object of senses. Everything we have an like a experience, or we can at least relate with it. But the 24th one, which you said unmanifested. So what is that, Mataji? It's like clueless. I have no idea about it.
Yeah, unmanifested is called pradhana, or the first starting of this material manifestation, how it started. So it's like the mix. If it's the combined state, it's explained as the combined stage of goodness, passion, and ignorance, but they are not separated yet. So that's called pradhana, or from pradhana comes prakriti. So this prakriti is a manifested state, the nature, but pradhana means the main elements, the combination that is required first product. From there, everything else has come. So that is considered as one of the first elements, Mataji. That's what I know about it. And more, I think Bhagavatam explains more. If anyone wants to add on this, Suksagri Mataji, Preeti Mataji.
Like do we experience this, Mataji, or is it within us? Like all the other things, at least we can feel it, we can know it is within us. But how do we know that it is within us, or it has been in the beginning of our soul existence? Or but it's related to body, right? It's related to material body.
Otherwise it wouldn't be mentioned as one of the elements of the body, the field of activity. But I don't know if we can experience this. That's a question I have to ask someone, Mataji. I'm not sure about that. Where exactly, as you said, right, mind, intelligence, and false ego also we can experience, but unmanifested, whether how we can experience this, I don't know the answer. Anyone else? Anyone knows the answer?
Mataji, so in the third canto of Bhagavatam, if you look at it, the unmanifest state, obviously we cannot perceive it. And that is why the demigods, they actually start to pray to say that, oh my God, we are not able to function properly because it is in the unmanifest state, and we need your glance on these elements so that the creation can get further on to the next stage. And that is when the Lord gives his glance, and it again proves the fact that without the will of the God, nothing happens in this world. So the creation, even though it is there in the unmanifest mode, unless the God actually glances through that cannot come to the manifest stage.
Very good, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji.
Is a question about pradhana, Mataji?
Yeah, it's question about pradhana.
Yeah, like Radhika Mataji said, is it okay if I add a few points?
Yes, please. But there is some background noise. We are not able to hear you clearly.
Yeah, I'm actually outside, so it's raining hard. I'll not be able to hear me.
Okay, you can maybe come close to the mic and talk.
Sure, Mataji. Can you hear now?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, so like Radhika Mataji said, in the beginning of creation,
Oh, Mataji, you're on mute.
yes, Mataji, I had some internet problem. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
It is very badly raining here, Mataji. That's why.
Hello.
Yes. Mataji.
Sorry, Mataji, I think my internet is bad. I'll reserve my comment for later. Sorry.
No, now you're clear. You want to say now?
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to say that, in the beginning of creation, there is this pradhana which is totally unmanifest. So, and that pradhana is actually, material substance which is always present there in one of our and like Radhika Mataji said later on, by the interaction of the three modes, between nature and the ego element, all the, by the interaction of time and ego, the other modes, everything come into existence, and all the 24 like material elements, all that is formed. So, before that, like Hanumat Swami gives the example of like a hand which is hidden in a glove, and so the hand is not actually visible, and it could take the form of the glove when it is there. So it is like that. Though we don't see the manifestation.
Yeah, very good, Mataji. Thank you so much. So basically, I don't know, I'll just repeat what she said, that it is present in the beginning of the creation, and that's when the whole creation starts, and it's unmanifested. So it's aggregate. It's in other places it's called total aggregate. Yes, Mataji. So thank you so much. Anything else?
No, Mataji, that's all I just wanted to add.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. I can text you the chapter in Bhagavatam where it is present, Lakshmi Mataji. You can read more on it. But I don't know unmanifest where whether we can experience in this body. As they said that we cannot experience that because it's been transformed into Prakriti and other things. So, but still, I will still ask this question and get back to you, Mataji, on whether we can experience this from our with our body or in our present state.
Within the body, are we referring to the subtle energy? Because they don't have form or shape, right?
Yeah, but subtle energy also we can perceive their presence, right? Mind, intelligence, and false ego. We can perceive their presence, their existence, although not gross.
In the Pradhan state, it is like lockdown, Mataji. Nothing. You cannot, the ingredients are there, but you can't take anything out or create anything. So you cannot construct anything out of it, and no creation is possible because the ingredients are all locked. Only when the Kala element of the Lord comes into play, then the living entities are impregnated into that Pradhan, and the whole creation, then the process takes place.
Yeah, that is true. But what she asks is that, like, why it is then added as one other element?
Why? Which one is added, Mataji?
The unmanifested. I mean, whether the unmanifested is, we understand that it is the total cause. It is
so
the cause.
Why the unmanifest is present? Because for us to be able to understand that without Kala Shakti of the Lord, nothing is going to work. If everything worked, then you won't understand, right? First, it has to be on the unmanifest stage for us to understand that only after Lord's Kala Shakti, it gets manifested. The creation process starts. That is why that unmanifest state is present. Otherwise, how will you be able to perceive? I mean, how will you be able to know about Lord's power?
Yeah, that is there, Mataji, but the Kala Shakti is not explained in here. What her question is still that, I mean, Kala Shakti is explained in Bhagavatam, we understand all this, but her question still is that unmanifested state, it is included as an element, and is there any, is there any way of perceiving it, or it cannot be perceived at all?
Go ahead, Mataji.
Sorry, Mataji. Generally, the 24 elements, they are classified in many ways, and sometimes the time is listed as the 24th element. And,
sometimes what?
Time is listed as the 24th element. If you see, there are several explanations to 24, and mind, intelligence, false ego, and then time is listed as the 24th sometimes.
Oh, I'm not able to hear clearly what is the last.
I think she says time.
Time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's listed, and then the unmanifest
yeah. We also recently read that there are different elements, and based on that 9 elements, sometimes 12, sometimes like
Correct.
that read in the later
Yes,
chapter.
Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Matajis. Thank you very much for your input. Is that okay, Lakshmi Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you all Matajis for a beautiful input. Yeah, now it's getting clear. Okay, Mataji, one more question. In 13.18, it says, he is the knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, he is the goal of knowledge. So is there any difference among these three, or it's just Krishna is everything? That's what the explanation goes.
Yeah, so he is everything and still he's different from everything. So this also he says in the 15th chapter also, Vedanta Krit Vedavit Eva Chaham. So in that way he's knowledge. He is knowledge. That is Vedas. He's the object of knowledge. Means what is the knowledge describing is also him. And goal of knowledge, what do we get by getting this knowledge and practicing this knowledge is ultimately him.
Okay, so the goal of the knowledge is after getting the knowledge, we again, like we get Krishna only, we get Lord only, his devotion.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Knowledge is in practice is that yoga process, and that's the ultimate goal of that is at he or Krishna, attaining him.
Okay, Mataji, that clears it. And one more question, Mataji, final question. In 13.33 to 34, it says like a soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. So like soul is a spirit and the body is a different material. So it is situated in the body, but it does not get mixed. Then I get a question like, then the mind is a subtle thing, but how does it mix with the body, or why do we get affected by the mind? Like, does our mind and body get mixed, or it's not mixing? Or then why do we get the why does it affect us?
Mind is still material. Mind is still a part of the body, but subtle in the sense that soul is completely spiritual. It doesn't mix, but the mind is a part of the body, and mind mixes. I mean, it's not mixes. It is a cooperating, or it's a subtle part of the material existence. The gross part is this body, earth, water, fire, and ether, and the subtle part is mind, intelligence, and false ego. So still that is material, and that's why when we put our energy, or when we, like, the mind drives us in different places, we experience happiness or distress, because we have given the power of attorney to the mind.
Okay.
But the soul is different. So how to get out of that is that by feeding spiritual intelligence. Then by feeding spiritual intelligence, we can separate the material mind and its want from ourselves, the soul, and the goal of the soul. Because mind, in the 6th chapter, it is explained, right? Mind is 99% our enemy. It's like a spy. It's like a spy in disguise. Bandhurevat manatmanas enat maivat manajitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vartetat maiva shatruvat. So if we control the mind, then we are living with the friend. An uncontrolled mind is like living with the enemy. So an enemy always tries to spoil our purpose, right? So that's what mind is described as.
Okay, Mataji. So in that line, you said mind is also a part of material. So does the mind die? Like, I'm not sure. Like, we know the body dies. So does the mind also die?
No, that mind and intelligence and false ego is carried to another body.
So it never dies. It goes on, carries on. Okay.
When the death for the mind happens, that is the mind is completely spiritual. There is no requirement for material mind.
Oh, okay. So
subtle body means we are liberated.
Okay, so the death of the mind is like we are getting spiritual, and that is liberation.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. Yeah, so that's it, Mataji. And thank you so much for the wonderful session, and also you answered all the questions. Now it is very clear, Mataji. I can read it again. And thank you. And the slides are very beautiful, Mataji. The slides itself explains everything. It's very wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for all the Matajis who worked on the back for the slides and presentation.
It is Mataji's husband. The credit goes to Mataji's husband for beauty. Prabhuji, I think, for doing the slides for her. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for his time. Because of this, we can learn more. And thank you, Mataji. Jai Sachinandana. Hare Krishna.
Mataji? Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, I was just Googling, and I found that the contaminated consciousness is the 24th and time is the 25th element. So the contaminated consciousness.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so any other thing, or maybe we can conclude?
Devotees, do we have any questions for Mataji at this time? Okay, it looks like we are done, Mataji. So, so we can do our prayers. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Lalitangi Mataji ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mataji.